Hello once again, and I found another article to look at. Doctor Who season 12 villains ranked best to worst from WhatCulture.com. So I thought we might take a look at this. Let's open it up here. Yeah, there we go. Uh, Doctor Who villains season 12 villains ranked best to worst. Will the dregs live up to their unfortunate name? We'll find out. The internet has gone into meltdown in recent days after the significant lore-changing events of the climactic episode. While the journal feels that the 12th season displayed some definite improvements on the previous season, the debate still rages, pondering if the show is in a positive state moving forward, or if it is in as bad a position as it has been throughout its 57-year history. Well, I guess there's been highs and lows, so I guess that could make sense, maybe. Um, while this fan of the show leans towards the latter, more pessimistic camp, this doesn't mean that there can't be acknowledgement of the improvement in many aspects of the show this season, most notably in the villain department. While not all foes of the Doctor were utilized to their full potential, there was still the odd stinker in the midst, and there was still the odd stinker in the midst. Overall, the choice of Nemesis for our beloved Time Lord was a serious strong point. Time Lord should probably be two separate words, but whatever. For the purposes of this list, we have chosen to group some villains and individualize others, depending on how they were addressed in the series and if they are appeared that doesn't make sense in multiple episodes. Uh, the Cybermen managed three separate entries, which does give an indication of a growing over reliance on the old foe. Well, at the very least, it's kind of they've been used a lot with the Master, and that probably needs to stop after like three times in a row. So prepare to have your consciences deleted and upgraded into a retro metal shell as we rank each of the season 12 rankings from best to worst. Hey boy, let's see how this goes. Number 13, Dregs. It couldn't really be any other villain at the bottom of the list because this unfortunate creation with the all too fitting name just didn't work in any way. Perhaps with a better character arc and within a better story, the Dregs could have been a better strong villain, but the episode just didn't allow these guys to work. The idea of them being what humans would become didn't make much sense within Who lore, nor did the explanation of them being one possibility. But worst of all was the rather tenuous link to the environmental aspects that caused the drugs to turn out the way they do. Somehow mutating to be like this because us non-humans didn't look after the planet the way we should. The whole episode is a mess, so it comes as no surprise that there is no real explanation for the origin of the dregs. The fact that almost all the shots of the dregs are in close-ups as they roar seem lazy, as does the fact that the humans so easily escaped them even after they had apparently had them surrounded. The visual design wasn't terrible, but it is enough to save them being relegated with the likes of the Zorloff and Krasko to the Who villain Scrappy. I don't know. I wouldn't call these guys necessarily as worse as the Absorbloff and stuff. Yeah, the episode sucks, but they're not necessarily the main problem with them, really. Like, like on the list of things that are bad, there are definitely a lot worse. But we'll see who else could have been at the bottom. I guess maybe Cyberman Time Lord hybrid. Okay, yeah, these guys would definitely be low on the list, I'd say. When it comes to Doctor Who villains, the Cybermen are often ranked as one of the Doctor's greatest adversaries. The Time Lords have also been an adversary source for the Doctor, acting sometimes on occasions as Nemesis, whatever. Others as his superiors, and at other times as victims who need saving. But why oh why anyone thought it would be a good idea to combine the two together is beyond comprehension. There were many aspects of the finale that were extremely divisive, but it was close enough to a consensus that the Cyberman Time Lord hybrid was a bad idea and a bad choice of villain. The actual concept itself wasn't the weakest point here, more so the ludicrous costume design and the nonsensical way it fitted into the script. Having the Time Lords in cyber outfits that contained their ceremonial garbs just looked silly. Rather than a seemingly unsolvable threat, the villain hybrid just made you laugh for all the wrong reasons. Even worse was the terrible explanation, or lack thereof. At the time I was engaged in battles with Cybermen and then been changed into the metallic concoctions against their will, this could have possibly worked. But having the Master simply state that he had a few Valkyrian bodies on ice ready to transform quickly into cyber form was just idiotic. Okay, most of this is pretty reasonable. Yeah, I can go along with most of this. Points to be given there. 11. Deadly Birds plus Suki. The first of the okay but not great villains from the season, this one felt like a bit of a wasted opportunity. Appearing in the decidedly mediocre Praxis, the idea of deadly birds attacking people at random across the world was an exciting prospect. As the episode begins and the first attack occurs, it appears that we may be about to get a Doctor Who meets Hitchcock episode for the ages. The character of Susie, this should be Suki, right? It's one of those, It's also an intriguing one. An alien visitor trying to work on an antidote for the bacterium infecting the planet. The plan is fine in theory. It's just that her methods are a touch on the unethical side. Well, definitely unethical. You know, you're messing with a planet, man. That's not cool. Unfortunately, the delivery for both villains is quite sloppy, with the insistence of having a political message rammed down our throats, undoing the threat factor. I don't know. I think you could have a message and have a decent villain. Like, it's been done. It's just, you know, like, honestly, the villains aren't even really the biggest issue. Some of the bigger issues with Praxis, like, I thought it was an alright episode, but it had some, like, I think the reportedly was the more glaring problem, probably just because she didn't really seem that natural to her friend dying like, afterwards, I guess. Trigger one. Yeah. Undoing the threat factor. The explanation that the deadly birds were inhibited by a bacterium that was attracted to plastics that were eaten by the birds was both convoluted and ungated. I don't know, that makes a decent amount of sense. I didn't really think it was that unreasonable. As for Suki, her character was just too underdeveloped to feel anything for her. Had she been the sole character the Doctor and her fam were dealing with, then her treachery and death may have meant something. But with so many other character arcs filling the screen, it just felt meaningless. Well, I don't know, she probably shouldn't have been the only character, just because, like, you know, it would have been, you kind of need other people, I think. Like, you gotta have some, if it was just her, it'd be kind of weird a little bit. Like, I feel like you need at least one, like, keep the astronaut guy, and then, like, but, yeah, I feel like you can't just do it on her own. But I would agree that you could have elaborated on that more a bit. Keep going. Cybermen Army. I guess they didn't have any pictures of the army from the season, from this actual season. It's just from the Rise of the Cybermen. So that was a little weird. That's a little weird. I would have maybe looked into that. Like, they must have had a picture somewhere. I don't know why you used that. The second of 3 Cybermen entries here. The old foe proven to be inoffensive without ever being the threat that they should be. The metal creatures have always been a ho-hum villain individually, with their sheer weight of numbers and ability to transform foes into an ever-growing part of their army the real engagement factor. The sheer weight of numbers here is strong, making them an army that seemed near impossible to deal with. The fact that they have headless drones to use as an advanced guard worked well in Ascension of the Cybermen, in particular the ease with which to destroy the 3 defense mechanisms the Doctor and the Fan brought to fight them. And yeah, speaking of ridiculous things, those cyberheads, like someone reminded me earlier, like, they are not cool. They kind of silly. I wouldn't really have used them as a positive. The most annoying aspect of the Cybermen army this time around is their woeful inability to hit a target. Presumably signed up to the next 007 film as henchmen, their terrible aim makes them all the less menacing than they should be. I've been hearing more stormtroopers as the comparison. That kind of seems to be the more common, like, enemy that doesn't shoot people. And, like, they're also a sci-fi villain, so, or sci-fi-ish villain, so it would make sense to have used that, but whatever. The manner of their defeat at the hands of Ryan and a couple of humans was also far too easy, although it would have been far easier to swallow if they'd actually taken down a couple of the targets in the process. Well, I think they did kill at least one person, so there is that, but whatever. Or, like, yeah, there was at least 2 people that were killed from them within that 2-part at least. Next. So, man, these ads are really intrusive. Tecteun and the Time Lords. Now that's interesting because they're mostly in the flashbacks. I wouldn't have thought to include them, but yeah, I don't know. Like Tecteun is like a full-on villain, but we'll see what justification is. Man, this ad is taking up so much space. I'm so sorry. Like it or loathe it, it does seem that we're going to get to know Tecteun a little more in future seasons. Well, I guess we'll find out. The Lord Changer revealed that Tecteun's nurturing of a mysterious alien allowed for Gallifreyans to utilize the power, or the Shobogans, to utilize the power of regeneration is actually a clever and interesting plot point that fans could well have universally embraced if that mysterious alien wasn't the Doctor. Yeah, like, it probably would have been a little bit better. Like, it might have been a little odd, but, you know, it definitely would have caused less damage if it wasn't the Doctor. There are most definitely a few issues with the Tecteun plot, most notably how it changes the Who lore. Okay, sorry, the thing went down. And history more than the BBC would like to admit. The fact that her story was told through a narration for some reason was a poor choice that didn't allow her to be embraced or at least engaged with by the audience. Yeah, maybe it could have been interesting as a flashback or something, but like in general, that whole episode could have been better handled. I don't know what specifically they could have done. The idea of the Time Lords being up to mischief in itself is not a bad idea, and one that has been explored in the past. The move towards the dark side that the ancient race embraced during the last Great Time War was an example of this. So hearing they were up to no good from their early days is hardly a surprise. There is always the hope of a decent explanation that makes more sense of what Tecteun and the Time Lords were up to. Here's hoping that we get a retcon that shows it didn't involve the Doctor after all. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Gat. I guess got another Time Lord villain. Oh. Yeah, it's weird that we have ads on the pictures. Like, I don't get how that works. It just seems like an odd decision. The arrival of Gat in the divisive Future of the Judoon episode seemed rather innocuous to start with. The rather trigger-happy agent using the lovably goofy space rhinos to help her procure a seemingly harmless human. Rita Aria does an excellent job of bringing Gat's menacing nature to life, a dark, authoritative presence from the moment she appears on screen. The reveal that Gat is actually an agent from Gallifrey is a strong moment in the episode, and is actually a better reveal than Ruth's Doctor revelation. I don't know, in terms of like execution, it was necessarily better. Like, I'm not crazy about the whole like Ruth Doctor concept, especially now that we know it might be pre-Hartnell, but I feel like that moment was a bigger deal, somewhat. The scene is made all the better by Aria's genuine emotion as Gat when it is revealed that Gallifrey has been destroyed. And I still feel like her character wasn't really particularly deep, though. Like, maybe we need more time. I don't know. Unfortunately, Gat's demise is handled poorly. A lame death for a character we desperately wanted to hear more from. Her demise at the hand of a sabotaged weapon just seemed a bit weak, and after setting up an interesting backstory, it was a real waste to have her killed off so easily and then forgotten about. Yeah, the death was kind of lame. It was a pretty cliche, like, the weapon is, don't shoot! And then it's like, oh, it was rigged. I told you. I guess we can presume she was just like a hardcore person. Maybe she might be a part of the division or something. I don't necessarily need like that much information just for this one episode, but I don't know. It could have been interesting. Number 7, the Queen and the Skithra. So we got like a single villain and a combined villain, I guess. Now this villain looks familiar. Ah yes, it's the Queen, Return of the Queen of the Rachnos. No, apparently not, although it does seem like the actor may have used the same costume in her portrayal of Queen Skithra. Well, I'm pretty sure it's a different costume. Like, that was definitely a much more elaborate setup, and but obviously the color is different, but you know, whatever. While new villains are always welcome on New Who, this did seem like one occasion when simply having the Rachnos return would have been fine, especially when Who lore was being ignored for most of the season anyway. Well, the only issue with that is that the villains, like in this case, they're much more about taking technology, which wasn't really a thing with the Rachnos last time. And I guess you want to suggest like retconning that in and like establishing that there were more Rachnos around, which I guess you could do, but like I don't know, it just seems like you're already treading on water here. Appearing in one of the better season 12 episodes, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, Queen Skithra was a strong villain, even if her motives were a little light on. That's a weird phrase, but whatever. Tracking down the most intelligent people of the era she found herself in, the Queen demands Tesla fix her broken ship so they can fly off into space and commit various villainy. Again, that's a weird expression. Yeah. While the scenes with the Queen are solid with elements of suspense, it's the moments when her Skithra minions take over the bodies of various humans that work best. The horrific acts they undertake, including the murder of Thomas Edison's complete workforce, makes them a foe to fear. The simple visual design is also strong. The illuminating red eyes of the human forms effectively creepy. Judoon. That's a blurry pic. Not. But yeah, I feel like you could have gotten a better picture. There had to have been one somewhere. While New Who has done a great job bringing in new exciting villains, it has also done a fine job bringing in some aliens who are right on the line of villainy without ever fully crossing over. I mean, I don't know if there's like that many New Who that are like that, but the Judoon are the perfect example of this, sitting somewhere between villain and anti-hero, while seeing themselves very much in the hero category. The return of the Judoon, that should be fugitive, or unless you mean like it's just not meant to be the title, just it's the return of the Judoon, but you capitalize the R, so it's a little weird. Saw the lovely, goofy space police back being lovable and goofy once more. As honest as the day is young, the Judoon stick to their rule book with brutal efficiency. Their effective murdering of innocent civilians, all good in the eye of their simple minds. It was actually a shame the International Space Police were so underutilized this season, as they are a great symbol of many a superpower who follow the rules while showing scant regard for human life. Yeah, like they definitely could have done something with Yaz in that episode with the police thing, but I guess not. Their design has always been a strength, the over-the-top armor befitting of a race who treat themselves far too seriously. There were still a few great moments to be had this season, including the head. Should that be a capital T for the? I don't think so. The head Judoon's shocked reaction at Gat's execution of Lee. Then there's the fact that they bothered to track down and imprison the Doctor at the series' conclusion, in spite of Gallifrey's demise. Many fans dislike this ending, but considering that they had been working with Gat, it actually makes perfect sense that they would have the technology to teleport inside TARDIS. Yeah, I guess it's not an unreasonable explanation. I mean, there could be a lot of stuff we don't know, so I guess that could maybe be one way to explain if you want to go there. Oh no, what's this? Dang pop-ups. Number 5, The Master. While we are all none the wiser as to just how the Master got back, overall we're glad he did. His manic appearance during the cliffhanger Spyfall worked thanks to the element of surprise, even if Sacha Dhawant's performance was a little over the top. Yeah, I guess so. Although, again, I'd like to have some explanation for the gap between Missy and him, possibly. There were no such qualms in the second episode, however. Dhawan delivering a deliciously evil portrayal of the Doctor's arch nemesis. The manic, evil, and narcissistic aspects of the Grand Villain were all displayed to perfection. The best of Sim combined with the horrors of Ainsley. Should be just Ainley, I'm pretty sure. The depiction of the Master as a central Nazi figure was truly chilling stuff, with the character's suitability for the role scarily obvious. Might have been a little too obvious and on the nose, but what you gonna do? Unfortunately, Dewan's Master suffered in the final episode, coming across more as an eccentric narrator than the unbalanced villain from earlier in the series. Dumping a heap of exposition for Dewan to deliver was a poor choice, as was the decision to place the Master front and center while leaving Whitaker's Doctor largely redundant. Valid point. One expects and hopes that the Master will return sooner rather than later, but some explanation as to how he keeps surviving is desperately needed. Many forum threads have suggested that having the Master as the Impossible Child would have been a better choice, so it'll be interesting to see if Jim pulls another retcon and make this Who lore next season. Zalin plus Rakea. I guess that's what her name was. The 10th episode of the series, that should be the 7th, just putting that out there, was overall a bit of a disappointment, with a clunky ending that saw the villains defeated too easily and more awkward political messaging crammed in. The episode sadly wasted a great opportunity. I don't know if I really classify like mental health specifically as political, but I guess you can view it that way. But you know, like I don't really consider it as much as like compared to like environmentalism and whatnot. But I could be wrong. I'm not really an expert. The introduction of Zelen as a godly villain is initially delivered perfectly, with Thrones' actor. I would have maybe like distinguished that as like Game of Thrones or something, but whatever. Actor Ian Gelder brilliantly brings this genuine foe for the Doctor to life. Gelder plays Zelen as an inflappable enemy who is always 2 steps ahead of the Doctor, using his godly wisdom to transport himself inside the houses and minds of several human characters throughout time. We are introduced to images of a mysterious figure, Rakaya, who the Doctor and the audience are led to believe is an innocent victim of Zelen. The delicious twist that Zelen has been toying with the Doctor and her companions to set the evil Rakaya free is a cracker. With Gelder perfect in his triumph and delivered. Their plan to feast on the nightmares of humans is also an inventive but horrifying plan. I don't know if it's really that original, but whatever. The less said about the lazy way in which these lower gods are defeated, the better. Sure is to say they deserve better treatment than this. Still, it doesn't completely take away from the fact that they were damn good villains in the first place. That's true, like, they definitely stand out. I give you that. Daniel Barton. Let's see what the justification is for this. Lenny Henry proved to be one of the great British comedians of the 80s and 90s, with classic shows like The Lenny Henry Show and smash hit sitcom Chef showing off his talents. I think they really need to use more italics for the titles, but whatever. However, it was his stand-up routines for which he was most noted, with no top comedy festival at home without him. Henry has dabbled in a variety of forms since, from acting for screen and stage, in Shakespeare productions no less, producing films and web series while still maintaining comedic roles on the small screen. It therefore shouldn't have come as a surprise that Henry absolutely nailed his guest starring appearance in Spyfall. The comedian captures all aspects of a mega billionaire tech guru Daniel Barton. With a wonderfully dark touch, there is a sense of brooding throughout Henry's performance, with Barton's distinct lack of humanity emphasized throughout. It doesn't matter if he is speaking to reporters, the whole world via webcam, or his mother. There is a controlled, emotionally void manner in which he speaks that adds a real venom to his character. You really do believe that Barton is capable of being a significant leader on the world stage, but it is also very believable that he would murder his own mother without a second thought. Henry has to take credit here, with even his heavy-handed lecturing of his final speech delivered with authenticity. I would agree that the guy's, like, decent. I don't know if I'd really put him up this high, though. We're in the last two. I know at least one that will show up. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not sure about the last one. The other one. Ashad, the lone Cyberman. The Cybermen have always been a bit of a hit-and-miss villain over the years, and the examples from this season only back up this point. The Cyberman Time Lords were quite reminiscent in quality to the Cyber King, which is, like, that's a typo right there. which is quite terrible. While the standard Cybermen soldiers proved threatening while also lacking any aim. The one enduring quality that has worked with the Cybermen throughout history is their distinct lack of emotion and the desire to withhold these emotions. Well, there could also be like him wanting to upgrade people and all this stuff with the technology improvements and stuff, but whatever. The manner in which Chibnall toys with this idea with the introduction of the Lone Cyberman works a treat. With this particular Cyberman using his emotions to enhance him as a villain, rather than see it as a threat. The battle between good and evil had sometimes been a bit cut and dry in the past for the Metal Men, but this isn't the case here. The fact that Ashad doesn't murder a baby contrasts with the knowledge that he brutally murdered his own family. Yeah, but like, the only reason he doesn't kill that baby is because like it was gonna die anyway. So like, or like it was weak, and like as people point out, like the baby will die in history. So like, I don't know. That's not. I wouldn't really call that a positive point exactly. He's definitely still a jerk, man. He openly agrees to the Doctor that he is an enigma and does have emotions, unlike other Cybermen, but then uses that information against her. The one downside for the Lone Cyberman was the nonsensical plan to use the Death Particle, which would have meant his own demise, while his easy destruction at the hands of the Master was also a bit weak. I would say that's maybe two things, but whatever. That's a whatever line, so sorry. Ashad was, however, excellent till this point, and visiting the moment he came to be in future seasons wouldn't be the worst idea. Like, maybe they could have just, like, saved him for a different story, or kept him, or didn't kill him here and then saved him for a different story, but who can really say? It could have been interesting. I think Ashad, like, he's not one of the better villains in the season, but it would have been good. It is a shame how he just kind of gradually gets worse as it goes along. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what number 1 is, because like he was kind of the big one that people were talking about, or actually even the Master was. So I'm really curious what number 1 is. There's a lot of suspense. Let's see what's happening. And number 1 is the Kasavans. Oh, I forgot about them for a while there. Well, I did like them, but this does seem a bit much. But we'll see. Let's just read what they have to say. One of the most exciting aspects of New Who has been the development of new and exciting villains alongside the classic villains returning. I feel like you kind of made this point earlier to some extent, but whatever. For every Master there was a Dream Lord, for every Dalek a Weeping Angel, and for every Cyberman and Centauran a Rachnos and Silence. I don't know if I'd really put the Rachnos up there with some of the better, like some of these big time villains, but maybe could have included like the Beast or something. I don't know. Like, I don't know if we need to keep it to recurring villains, but even Rachnos isn't really recurring, so I don't know why it's right here. Well, Tim Shaw was about as good as Chibnall could come up with in his first series as showrunner. Dang, that's a burn. Showrunner. He really hit gold with the villains this season. The best example of this were the Kasavans, the best original New Who villains for a long time. I'm going to put some debate on that, but I kind of thought Can You Hear Me Man was a little bit better, but I guess it's all kind of debatable. He really hit gold with the villains this season. The best example of this for the Kasavans was a long time. There were so many great aspects about them, but the lack of information in regards to who they truly were, well, that should be what it says. We're only adding to their mystique and presence as a genuine threat. The aliens' ability to appear wherever and whenever they like to create a great sense of threat. The fact that they could only be seen as a bright light adding to their menace. The idea that they have come from another universe and are determined to take over ours was befitting of classic Who villains, while also having an original slant. I like them, although I feel like in part 2 they lose some of their effectiveness because they're henchmen to the Master, kinda, and they're kind of not like and they ended up turning on him at the end. Like so, like they were being kind of duped. So some of that was kind of a loss, I guess. But you know, the effects were decent, and there was some good stuff there. Maybe they could have been like a villain in their own right, like Boneless, maybe, or Flatline. That could be kind of cool. It was also a strong choice by Chimel to have the Kasama's plan stopped in their tracks without the alien beings being truly defeated. I would have maybe used a different word because that's a little confusing. While the Master's legacy on the season was somewhat tainted by appearing in the finale episode, I should go back a bit. Like they kind of were defeated as far as like their plan was foiled, or at least the Master's plan was foiled. But whatever. While the Master's legacy on the season was somewhat should be in. The season was somewhat tainted by appearing in the finale episode. The Kasavans was thankfully spared. Let's with an apostrophe. This alien. Let's hope this alien threat reappears in the near future, but keeping their full story a secret would be nice for a while. Well, that's it for that article, and they plug a new video if you want to check that out, I guess. This is definitely an interesting one. I I think there were some good points in here. Yeah, I think some of the choices were solid. I just feel like some were just very odd. Some there's definitely some. I feel like you could have done another pass with the edit a little bit, just to tighten on some things. So that's that article. Um, Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and it was nice to kind of do another one of these like article read-throughs. This one seemed to go on a while, but them's the breaks, I guess. So I'll see you with something else in the future.